Concern about dubious news stories is at an all-time high, and alarmingly, some of this skepticism is actually quite reasonable. The internet as well as the media giants are not infallible fountains of truth and wisdom. This video is going to provide you with some good reasons to think twice before believing, reacting, and retweeting everything you hear. Number 20. Federal felines. This heroic image of Donald Trump made the rounds on social media after Hurricane Harvey struck in 2017. It supposedly depicts Trump bravely reaching out to a stranded flood victim. There were even images showing him wading through the floodwaters to rescue a pair of cats. Both images are actually just photoshopped. Brandon Smith was captured rescuing his cats from floodwaters in Iowa way back in 2008. Then in 2017, Trump's face and cap were photoshopped over him. The other image was a digitally altered image of the Austin Fire Department reaching out to a man clinging to a chain fence out in the water in 2015. Both are pretty lazy Photoshop jobs, but that didn't stop those with an existing reverence for the US president to spread the fake image like wildfire. It's a lesson in critical thinking. Be careful not to let your existing perceptions of people hamper your ability to question information. Number 19. Hot Dog Democrat. This image has been circling around Facebook recently, claiming Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got fired from hot dog on a stick for incompetence. Not only is this false, it's not even her in the picture. The girl's name's Stephanie, but her name tag's obscured in the viral image, which has fewer pixels than a Nokia 3310. In case it wasn't obvious, using fabricated Facebook posts to inform your opinions of political candidates isn't the wisest choice. Number 18. Time's Ice Age. Climate change deniers have a bit of a reputation for using unreliable sources to back up their arguments. Questionably funded and source studies are one thing, but these two time covers are something else. The point being made is that mainstream science and journalists don't know what direction the climate is headed in, and the conclusions, which appear to be changing to suit the trends of the day, are meaningless. But the left cover, claiming to be from the 70s, warning of an imminent ice age, is actually from 2007 and was actually about global warming. Though it is totally falsified, at least some effort went into the Photoshop. They even changed the article about The Sopranos to an article about MASH. Number 17. Popular Nobody. Until 2017, Jenna Abrams' Twitter account consisted of sharing strongly right-wing, pro-Trump tweets and mocking left-wingers. In the 3 years after creating the account in 2014, Jenna amassed 70,000 followers. Pretty impressive. Only Jenna Abrams had never existed. She turned out to be part of a Russian government propaganda operation in St. Petersburg, a troll farm called the Internet Research Agency. Jenna was just one of many Russian accounts created to stoke division leading up to the 2016 presidential election. The internet doesn't just have questionable info, it has entire fake humans too. Number 16. You are what you eat. In 2014, The Independent, alongside other sources like the International Business Times, published articles about a hotel restaurant in Nigeria. Apparently, the place had been found to be secretly serving human meat and supposedly had a kitchen full of human heads. The story originated in a Nigerian tabloid newspaper, which was notorious for exaggerating and fabricating stories, and was picked up by multiple Western news outlets, including the New York Daily News. Despite the claims being found to be little more than speculation, the owner of the restaurant was forced to publicly clarify that his restaurant did not offer decapitated heads, nor any other human body parts. While other sources from the area did describe a police raid on the hotel, evidence of human meat being served to customers was non-existent. Number 15. Private Affairs. Did you know Democrat politician Jenna Tall wants to euthanize all old people? That's the claim of this viral pic. In reality, the woman in the image is actually Ciara Donlan, an Irish businesswoman whose picture seems to have been chosen at random for this purpose. Gullible Facebook users have apparently never been prank called or read the name Jenna Tall aloud. Number 14. Trick shots. In 2017, various dubious news websites like State of the Nation ran a story about Trump describing flu shots as a scam. The articles even went so far as to say that Trump had said the flu shot is the greatest scam in medical history, created by Big Pharma to make money on vulnerable people and make them sick. While Trump has made many a controversial remark in his day, this was not one of them. What he did say was that he'd never gotten a flu shot, and that he basically didn't think that they worked. This sentiment may be questionable too, but it's a far cry from what some untrustworthy news sites made it out to be. Number 13. Department of Dinosaur Denial. According to a 2017 article, Sam Clovis, one of Trump's nominees for the position of chief scientist at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, described the scientific community as dumb people who think dinosaurs actually existed and the Earth is somehow getting warmer. While the story was widely picked up as convenient ammunition for critics of the Trump administration, the quote actually came from Newsflow, a satirical website similar to The Onion. While Clovis is indeed publicly skeptical of climate change, this particular quote was fake. Unfortunately, in our strange modern world, it's all too easy to confuse satire with reality. Number 12. SCHEME-CEPTION. Another satirical article claimed that judges had sufficient evidence to indict Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton for conspiracy to create a false conspiracy. Apparently, the nonsensical sentence's satire wasn't obvious enough for the Facebook users who earnestly shared it 100,000 times. It was created by TatersGonnaTate.com, a site designed to provoke conservatives with totally bogus articles. It succeeded and was even shared by Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. How embarrassing. Number 11. Bernie gets busted. While Bernie Sanders was indeed arrested, as shown in this 1963 photo, the viral claim that he was arrested for throwing eggs at black civil rights protesters is far from reality. In truth, it was the opposite. Bernie was charged with resisting arrest while taking part in a civil rights protest against racially segregated schools. Unfortunately, the truth didn't stop countless right-wing Facebook accounts sharing the falsely captioned image with their fans, many of whom believed it. Number 10. Planted protester. On the night of the 26th U.S. election, this CNN Street interview caught the attention of skeptics online. It features a man passionately arguing that Hillary Clinton's defeat against Donald Trump was an undemocratic, systemic failure. He also highlights some of Clinton's positive work and describes her defeat as an injustice against minorities and women.
I believe in you, Hillary. I've been to Rwanda. I've been to your hospital in Rwanda. I've seen all the good you've done. I believe in you. Women need you. Minorities need you. I need you. Chicago needs you. We all need you. This country needs you.
Then the feed cuts back to the news desk where the anchor notes that the passionate pedestrian is actually a cameraman who worked for CNN in the past.
Yeah, Ryan, you know I used to live there and I know that guy. That's John Gurkovic. He actually went to Africa with me as a cameraman.
This led some to theorize that CNN staged this supposedly impartial interview to fuel anti-Republican cynicism and criticism. But if they did, why would they reveal the man's true identity? A conspiracy, a slip-up, or just a coincidence? You decide. Number 9. Vested interests. The French Yellow Vest protests have been hijacked by many opportunistic political figures. This image was shared by Colombian presidential candidate Gustavo Petro, claiming it showed the French Yellow Vests protesting gasoline prices. Petro hoped it would help gain support for his own planned protest of a Colombian food tax. The photo actually depicts the 2015 solidarity marches that followed the Charlie Hebdo terrorist attacks, and there isn't a yellow vest in sight. Images of this yellow decorated guillotine also circulated online, supposedly depicting a symbolic threat from working class protesters to the elite. In reality, it was just a Photoshop of this image of an unrelated, smaller scale protest against cuts in the French culture and arts budget. Vested or not, at least the French protest in style. Number 8. Agreeable audiences. When Bernie Sanders took questions from voters in a February 2019 town hall forum, it was far from a random grab bag of citizens. The people asking questions had close ties to the Democratic Party, which CNN kept quiet during their broadcast. For example, there was no mention of Tara Ebersol, listed as a former professor, as being the current chair of the Baltimore County Democratic Party. Abina McAllister was described simply as a mother of two and not as the deputy secretary of the Maryland State Democratic Party. Similarly, Chioma Owuha worked for a nonprofit, but CNN neglected to specify that the nonprofit was the Democratic National Convention. All this, to some people, implies that the questions were loaded and possibly even planned to allow pre-prepared replies. Number 7. Presidential Pope Pleaser. In an unprecedented move, Pope Francis weighed in on the 2016 presidential campaign to officially endorse Trump. Well, he didn't really. A satirical news website called WTOE5 News just said that he did. They claimed that news outlets all over the world were reporting the same thing, which was enough for fakery to be taken as fact, as it spread across social media. Once again, gullibility left people susceptible to some devious trickery. Number 6. Close call. This CNN interview between Nancy Grace and Ashley Banfield is highly unusual. It seems to take place in two different locations, hence the split screen and the earpiece. However, observing the background, it becomes increasingly clear that they're both in the same parking lot. Here you can see the same red car go past both of them. Later you can see the same truck in the background of both locations. Not all fakery is insidious. Sometimes it's just plain weird. Number 5. Crowds for the campaign. No, this is not Live Aid, a popular Facebook image states over a picture of a Trump rally. But the picture really does show the 1985 Live Aid concert in London's Wembley Stadium. The Trump campaign banners were lazily added in Photoshop. Trump wasn't in attendance, but Queen, U2, Elton John, and David Bowie were. Photos of huge crowds at other iconic events like Woodstock have also been erroneously attributed to the president. Somehow people are fooled every time. Number 4. Children of War. In 2017, CNN aired this video with Syrian 7-year-old Bana al-Abed following a deadly chemical attack in her hometown.
Bana, do you blame President Assad for this?
Yes, I am very sad. A lot of died and no one helped them. The world is watching. The world doesn't do anything.
Her demeanor, the depth of her understanding of geopolitical terms and concepts, alongside the fact that she appears to be reading from a teleprompter, roused skepticism online. Some suggested that the video uses a child to appeal emotionally to viewers and justify support for increased Western military force in her country. It wouldn't be the first time children have been used to justify military actions. In 1990, the now infamous false Nayera testimony provided the U.S. justification to join the Gulf War. This was later proven to be a tactical piece of propaganda headed by a US PR firm. Scary stuff. Number 3. Gulf War Shenanigans. This behind-the-scenes video of CNN's 1991 coverage of the Gulf War with Charles Jaco sparked fierce debate when it emerged online in the early 2000s. Early critics pointed out the fake, seeming blue background, complete with plastic-looking palm trees, arguing that Jaco was in a shoddy production set on home soil rather than in Saudi Arabia. Web detectives on metabunk.org soon discredited these theories, proving the blue background was actually part of the Saudi hotel where Jaco's team were based. But some remained skeptical of the footage, owing to Jaco's jokey demeanor, which turns serious the moment the broadcast goes live. Jaco has since claimed that joking around was simply the crew's way of dealing with the dangerous reality of their situation. But some still doubt the authenticity of the broadcast, and the matter sparks heated debate to this day. Number 2. Unhappy Earth Day. This picture of a litter-filled park recently made the rounds, claiming it had been trashed by environmentalists after Earth Day celebrations. It attempts to paint environmentalists as hypocrites who also trash the environment. In reality, the picture shows the aftermath of a 2009 football tailgate at the University of Georgia. Points go to the green team for this one. Number 1. Copy-pasted propaganda. In 2018, local TV news stations all over America were exposed as delivering identical messages which, ironically, sung the praises of each station's apparently unbiased, reliable broadcasting.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
One company, Sinclair Broadcast Group, owns over 190 stations, most of whom were instructed to regurgitate this insidious message. The irony of making all these anchors profess they're totally not affected by corporate interest reliability while reciting exactly what their colossal parent company wanted them to say was apparently lost on Sinclair. Or perhaps it was an intentional reminder of how far the influence of a few powerful dominators reaches within our culture. Either way, one thing is clear. It pays to question what you hear, wherever your information comes from. Did you get duped by any of these devious deceptions? Have you spotted any lies online? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.